Hello, hello. What's up? What's up? It is a new day, it is a new week, and it's time to get social. My name is KaVonna, and welcome to the Introvert's Social Hour. Welcome. Today we are going to be diving into the challenges of maintaining friendships amidst the demands of adulthood. I've brought my friend of more than 10 years today. We've had our own journeys with friendship, but then we have also had our personal friendship journey, which I am excited to discuss. Fair warning, today I'm dealing with some allergies, so I'm a bit stuffy, but we're going to make it through. You're going to have to bear with me. My friend today, his name is Jassimran. I'm super excited. Jassimran is an artist and illustrator based in the Bay Area, where I'm originally from. She's known as a social butterfly because she enjoys talking to people and loves getting to know them and their stories. She loves to travel and explore different perspectives in the world. Welcome, Jassimran. Woo woo.
Woo! Hey, thanks for having me today.
Of course. How are you today? How's life?
I'm good. I'm good. Just surviving out here. But as my boxing coach says, I am better than yesterday, but not as I'll. Oh my God. I'm better than yesterday, but not as good as I'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, I like that. Every day gets better. Is that the idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? I like that. Um, as far as that's actually a great way to like think about it in perspective too of what we're talking about today. Um, as far as the topic of like keeping friendships as an adult, it is a topic I think a lot of people can relate to, which is why I thought it was like important to talk about, or just like something that I think listeners out there could connect with. So I am very intrigued about like what will come up like for both of us and also our experiences with other friendships that we've like experienced within our journey of young to adulthood now, which has been a long journey. For the listeners out there, let's give a breakdown history of our friendship, of why I brought you here. Like you were the first person I thought of for this. So we we met in middle school. Listeners, once again,
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally from the Bay Area. We met in middle school. We went to the same high school. We stayed friends in high school. College is when that transitional period happens, of course, and we'll talk about that. So we did go to different colleges. Just remember, you went to San Jose State. I ended up going to UC San
Mm-hmm.
Diego, totally not in the same area, for one. So that was one thing. And we haven't lived in the same place since middle school, to be honest, because I was since the beginning of high school, because I moved out of Hayward like mid high school. But then we haven't been in the same location, like living in a very long time. But even then though, now we're post college, so we have found ways to connect with each other throughout the years. Like I said, it's been over 10 years, which is like really wild to say too.
Whoa, it's more like 15. Let's be honest. Like we started college 7 years ago.
Yeah, we started, so because we met our first year in middle school. So what, we were
12.
like
We were
12.
12.
Yeah.
That
So
was
about
like, oh
13,
no, 13.
13
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Dang.
See? Yeah. But we've, even then though, and as you know, I have not been in the same places. I've been moving around a lot too. So but even then, while we are doing the shifts and things, we found ways to still connect, whether it be through being in the
Thriving.
same place. Yeah, being in the same place at the same time, an accident. We ended up meeting at we were both in New York at the same time. We did a New York, we met each other at that period. We had our hiking trip, different things like that. So even Zoom and phone calls have kept us. So shout out to technology. So that's where our
Yeah.
friendship has. Did I miss anything? I feel like I covered the gist, but let me know if I missed anything.
Yeah, remember that one dance class you had over during COVID?
Yeah, that too. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotta support your friends. I was there for the support. And
Right.
I gotta catch up with KaVonna.
Thank you for that too. That's a whole other topic, but I want to do that again at some point. Um,
That was
I,
fun.
yeah, it was.
I wish
Um,
I had more room.
I feel you because dancing in my apartment is a struggle. It's a bit of a struggle because I have a little mini square. Um, if I move my couch, I can get a little bit more space, but it's okay. um, okay, so let's talk about this because we've had shifts. Just like growing up in general, as we said, like people move.
Hmm.
People specifically in moving go to college and or just like find different points of their life, maybe find a job and they move to go to that job. Even post college, that's another transition that we've like recently experienced. So there are a lot of challenges that do kind of fight that friendship battle in a way of how do I keep my friends even though we're going through different changes in our life, whether it's moving, going to college, or just like personal growth changes as well. Um, how do you think these shifts that happen impact our ability to maintain and like nurture our friendships?
I think as we grow older and our life changes because we are one on
Mm-hmm.
our own path, it
Mm-hmm.
I think it really depends on the energy and the vibe, or even just like that connection you have with someone else to grow with you. Like it's gonna weave in and out at the same time, but there has to be that connection. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah, so I am curious though, because like when you say like energy or vibe, so out of curiosity with that, because there are those things of like personal changes, do you think those vibes could change by people changing, within themselves too? Because I know we've both experienced
Oh yeah.
situations of maybe our friends no longer being who we knew them as, and maybe they kind of grow apart. Do you think
Hmm.
like I'm just thinking like the energy could still be the same, maybe,
Hmm.
or does that completely just like alter it? Like what does that look like? Those when you say like energies or vibes.
Okay, let me get
I
into
know this
this.
is
The
like a little
first
bit deep.
I'm Yeah, it's so funny because I was talking about this lately, but it was more relationship wise, but I think
Hmm.
friends are also like soulmates in relationship. But specifically for you and me, for example,
Yeah.
like we always been on that same vibe, like that same level of like connection. We just have that connection to where we can disappear for so long and be like,
Hmm.
yo, KaVonna, and we both
That's
grow
true.
with each other.
Hmm.
Like, and we accept, hey, that's that person, but it's also that person like that they were before. You
Yeah.
see me and I see you as like, oh shit. Like I know people change, but I feel like me
Mhm.
and you, like well, I don't know about you, but I feel like I never wavered. Like you're still like you've
Yeah.
grown,
Hmm.
but I still feel like, oh shit, that's Kayvon.
Yeah.
That's my homie right there.
Yeah.
Like it's just that support for each other that we're also
Yeah.
heading in the right direction and becoming who we actually are.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
That's
it's not
a good one.
always perfect. Oh, sorry.
No, 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 go. Yeah. No, I was just
Oh,
like saying I agree with you there.
yeah, like it's not always like a perfect ride and you can't have that expectation for someone. But there's
Mhm.
still like gonna reach that highest level of contentment. And that's what a true friendship is for like that's what I think. And that's why we still connect and keeping connection with each other a bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of really hard to find. I feel like we're soulmates.
Yeah. No matter where you go. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I believe like there's strong connections out there that
Yeah.
will last a while,
Yeah.
but it's very rare. Um, but before I get into the deeper answer,
Hmm.
do you want to add more on to that?
No, I was gonna say I agree with you. It's not easy because, and you said the word and I was like very intrigued by it, expectation. Um, that's like a key point. Like you said that, I was like, ooh, like that is true because maybe you know someone when they're like 20 and maybe you kind of separated, kept up here and there. And then at 25, maybe you expect them to be a certain way. Maybe they're not that way. And I've seen how friendships can pull apart because of that, because um some people may have this idea of a friend and not be okay with that evolution, um which is kind of like an automatic thing. Like you should expect your friends and the people around you to evolve, to change, hopefully for the better, of course. But yeah, ooh, that word like expectation was like, ooh, yeah, like don't expect anything necessarily, just let them be who they are. And maybe if they don't work with who you are now, that's okay. Some people naturally grow apart, but I think that's where it's like a hard fall off when there is an expectation in place. Yeah, you said that and I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's so funny. I've been talking about this, but I heard like here's a story. I even talked to people last night about because we were talking about relationships and love. And the last few days I've been talking about that to a few different people. And
Mhm,
it's like these days, like it's so conditional. Like love is so conditional. People weave
mhm,
people in and out. Oh, I'm gonna cancel you. Oh,
mhm,
like you're done, I'm done. And I get it to an extent. Like,
mhm,
yeah, but there's like this culture around, oh, just cut these people out, cut these people out. And you know what? A lot of people do need to be cut out, but there are also some people like at some point, it's like if you love them enough or not, like they should still
mhm.
be there. Like when finding a partner for sure. I remember there was a story of like this old man giving advice. He was married to his wife for over 40, 50 years. I don't know, somewhere
Oh,
around there.
okay.
Like really old. And he was like, I fell in love. The reason why my marriage was so strong was because I fell in love with different people within the same person. Because this
Oh, that's cute.
person changes over the years. People
Mhm.
change, it's inevitable. But the
Yeah.
people who stick around are the ones that, love them for them, even when
Mhm.
they're going through their growth into different people. Because everyone becomes different.
Yeah.
Everyone becomes different. But the
Mhm.
fact that their marriage was so similar is because they appreciated and they loved each other like for who they were in
Like
that
from the
moment.
stem. Yeah. Like they're like heart, their core. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, that's so
like,
true though.
yeah, no, literally, like that's so hard. That's unconditional love. And that's so
Mhm.
hard to find these days, especially in friendships. There's
Mhm.
not unconditional love in friendships that much anymore.
Yeah. I definitely in a way to like connecting like with the introvert section of this podcast as well. I've talked about it before where I also am very like specific on who I choose to be friends with. Um because like once you said once again like you said like not everyone you could just be friends with and be cool with, and that's just me. Like I'm very specific. I am low key. I coming to this realization, I'm like figuring you out. I'm looking at every detail, trying to understand who you are. Low key, I guess I'm judging you. My bad, but I'm also just like I'm judging you to figure out, are you adding something to my life versus taking something
Yeah.
away? I'm all about no drama. I'm all about none of that extra stuff. So if I see that you're kind of a messy person, you're kind of
Hmm.
someone who I'm like, you're going to be adding, trying to stir up the pot, it's an automatic cut for me. Um, and then I just know I'm not going to be sharing my whole life story with you. I'm very limited with my friendships. And I think that also helps with keeping them because I've already evaluated that I have considered you an important aspect of my life. And so I we're gonna like nurture this friendship and keep it going and whatever that may look like, because every person nourishes each friendship differently. um because like going back to it, and you're in adulthood, you've got so many things you need to worry about. It's kind of hard to keep up with 15 friends every single week. That's not a thing.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's so hard.
Yeah, like it's just not gonna happen. um but I do want to say, in regards to that though, like there's busy schedules. People do have like career responsibilities, whatever your jobs look like, 9 to 5s are a thing. Personal obligations. We're getting to that point where people are getting married, people are having kids,
Hmm.
all those things. Um, how do you think people do maintain those connections despite how life gets so busy? Like, what strategies have you used outside of like our friendship as well, in regards to other friendships?
Well, let me tell you, I I've made connections with a lot of people, and honestly, I
Yeah.
think about all these people all the time. It's just really hard and really draining to get to everyone so quickly. Like I got too many messages in my inbox.
Okay, popular. Go
But
ahead.
no, 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 no. Not like that. Yo,
I know.
shout out to the homies that I still have to reply to. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're horrible at replying, but it's okay.
Yeah, no, it sucks. It's because I try and stay away from my phone too. It's really
That's
hard
good
to keep
though.
up with everyone and be
Yeah.
in the moment as well. And that's where the busyness comes in, right?
Mhm.
Because I I'm trying to grow in my own ways too. There's a lot of things, like something I've been struggling with the last few years, especially after graduation, was like balance, life
Mm,
balance. Because when I was in college, literally my main goal was like school. It was
yeah.
school, and then also like having that social life, making connections and all that. Those were like things. Also, I was in a relationship for a while, for sure. So I
So
had to
that took
balance
time
everything.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, after graduation, things just kind of became came into light as I like my focus completely redirected,
Hmm.
and I had to make a lot of changes. And that's my I've been working on my personal growth stuff. We
Yeah.
have to
Hmm.
focus on ourselves. And when it comes to busyness, like I'm usually not a texter, clearly. I but I do phone calls here and there. I love talking to people on the phone, giving like
Hmm.
an hour or two because my phone calls do last a long
They do.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's me catching up with people within
Hmm.
months, probably. But it's
Hmm.
still like giving that time and care. Like when it's someone's birthday, I'm gonna give them a phone call
Yeah.
because like forget a text, man. Forget about that. That little. I love giving. Well, I mean, I appreciate that for sure, and like
Hmm.
that means you're still thinking of them. But for me personally, since I'm
Hmm.
so like hiatus or like so gone, for me,
Yeah.
in order to create a better relationship
Hmm.
with that person that I haven't been able to reach out to for a while, I would call them or schedule a meetup. I prefer people in person, but
Yeah.
some people, like, you're across the
I'm across the
country.
country. Yeah.
There's some other ways to do that.
Yeah. I
But it
oh, sorry, go ahead. And then add on.
no, 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 it's okay.
I was just gonna say, that also brings up the idea of like balance with our friendship because that's where we kind of oppose each other a bit. Like I will text you before I ever call anyone, but then it's like when you call, I'm like, oh, she's calling. I'm gonna answer the phone. We're gonna have a conversation, and that's where we find our our balance with each other. Because I definitely know, like, for me, I'll probably text anybody first. The people I talk to mainly are like my mom, my grandma, my grandpa. Um, Everyone else, though, pretty much on a text base unless we're like zooming or something. But that's once again like knowing who we are as people and like balancing each other out. So like
Yeah.
that's like a funny note. Like, I know you love to call, which I don't hate to call. I'm just not necessarily a caller. And so then I'm like, oh, she's calling. I'm gonna answer the phone. And then we talk for a bit
Thank
and
you.
then we go from there. Yes. Of course. Yeah. Like, thank you.
Like we have like so I appreciate it because we
Yeah.
have so much to talk about. Like there's
Yeah.
so much
Hmm.
and I got tendonitis, your girl's now trying to get carpal tunnel. So it's hard
Yes.
texting like long paragraphs because
That
I'm a
artist
paragraph
struggle.
text.
Yeah.
No, literally it's hard.
Mm-hmm. I whatchamacallit? I forgot. I just lost my train of thought. I was gonna say, darn, I forgot what I was about to say. If it comes back to me, it was gonna be along the lines of what we just was talking about though, and I cannot remember. But if it comes up,
Balance.
not necessarily. It's okay. If I find it again. It wasn't literally something you had just mentioned before you start talking about tendonitis. It's okay though.
Phone calls, you were talking about your family relations and how um I was like, I appreciate you wanting to accepting my phone calls when
Yeah.
really you're a texter.
Here's what I add to that, but I don't think this was it. But I do appreciate phone calls. They don't happen often because I think people kind of understand I'm not a huge caller, but I do appreciate them, like the random ones, which yeah, they tend to be because that's oh, bam, I've got it. That's how we catch up with each other. We
That's
don't
fun.
necessarily talk every single week or every single day or sometimes every single month, but like those times when we do catch up every few months or so, they become significant. Um, and I think that's how we
Exactly.
find our balance with each other because um like we said, it does get busy and it gets kind of hard to divide the time, personal growth, job growth, other things that are happening. I'm doing a lot right now too. And so having that time period where it's like Okay, we know we're friends that catch up every few weeks or so, every few months or so, and that's okay, you know? And I'm pretty sure whenever it is that we're in the same location again, we'd be like, let's meet up, squat up, and things like that. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Even
uh,
once a year.
yeah, literally, even once a year. Um, and then there are other strategies at play. Some people, you know, do have friendships that are probably every once a year, every 2 years or so, a quick catch up. Or some people or some people I know kind of are like, if I only talk to you once a year, like we're just acquaintances at that point. I've seen that before as
But not
well.
us.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I could understand for certain people, maybe,
Mm.
but uh, that just you have to understand where your connections lie more so than anything else. I don't think it really
Mm-hmm.
matters of timing. That's me personally. Everyone's different. I don't think it matters how much you talk and communicate with each other. I think it's a matter of how you communicate and talk to each other. Because obviously, even if we don't
Mm-hmm.
talk
Exactly.
every single like day or month or whatever, like we may text occasionally or communicate with each other on Instagram or something like that, and that kind of keeps it. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Oh my God, I 110% agree with that. Because I was going to be like, quality over quantity, which is also why I take time on my texts, is because I'd rather give you a quality response than give you a quick, okay, ah ha ha ha. Oh my God, I hate that so much. It's like, that's just small talk, then.
hmm
It's like, we're having a deeper conversation than that. Usually, people I'm texting, we're having like paragraph conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you go through my text, it's literally paragraph, paragraph, paragraph.
Well, you like to do the spurts. The like
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's that
you like
as
the
well.
spurts. Yeah. When it's like a blue 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 send blue 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 send.
Yo,
that's
it
that's
gives
your style.
emphasis. It's emphasis.
I'm not going to yuck your yum, but you're not the only one I know who does that.
It's common. It's
It, it's
common.
it's common, yeah.
Yeah, there are different styles.
There's
Some
different
people
styles of
put
texting, yeah.
paragraphs and then put that space, return,
hmm
return, and then another paragraph. So you got a gap. It's like
Oh
writing a freaking
yeah.
essay.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever needed to send something that long. But I definitely
Really?
just send my thoughts and then I send it. Or like I write my thoughts and then I send it versus like do do send. Because I think I'm just like type and then send it out. I don't think I'm a paragraph person, but I don't think I've needed to write something so long like that where I need to
Really?
send an
Hmm.
essay. I feel like maybe like a few sentences at best, maybe a paragraph, but I don't know. Because
I
at
was
that point, I
literally
think I
doing
do
this.
talk to someone. Yeah.
I was doing this with my friend earlier today. I was giving her advice. She was
Oh,
like,
well, that's
bro,
okay. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense then. That's a situation where that makes sense.
yeah.
So maybe
There's
I
like
don't know.
conversation. You must have. I'm pretty sure we have.
Probably, yeah. If I go through some, but maybe at some point. Probably not recently. I maybe let's say that.
Mm,
Not recently.
yeah.
Um, okay, let's go into communication and like quality time for a bit. There's different ways that people communicate with each other, especially now we're in 2023. We got like we just said, text message, phone calls, we've got Zoom, we've got Instagram, Twitter, all those things, social media and all that. Um, what do you think effective communication looks like as an adult?
You know, it just came into my mind,
hmm
but I mean, also I've been lingering on it. But it's like communication in the last decade or so. Like the last 2 decades have transitioned like crazy. And I'm telling you, like, maybe I'm more of a traditional person, but I meet so many people that don't even want to, they don't like to talk on the phone. Like, it's literally just text. And I'm like, bro, literally, like, if you think about it, 20 years ago from today, they they barely had like the opportunity to be texting like crazy. A lot of people didn't even have cell phones. So it's like everybody did shit in person and it had that connection in person in phone calls. And it's so different these days. I don't even I don't even know how to explain it. Sorry, that's all that's consuming me right now. I'm
You're
like,
good.
damn.
So, okay, so let's break it down like this. So we know you're
Yeah.
not a texter. You prefer call. Um, Effective communication in regards to calling someone.
Effective.
Um, you said most of the time your conversations are usually an hour, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
In regards to phone calls and communicating with friends, how often would you say, I know each friend is different, but on average, are you communicating um via phone call because that's your way to go?
See, that's the thing. Like I was saying, it's kind of like harder to do phone calls because not that many people want to, they don't feel
They don't
comfortable
answer.
with it these.
Mhm.
Yeah, they don't feel comfortable with it. So usually I have to see,
Which
this
is
is
so
the
funny.
thing. We made phones in order to like make a connection, like in
Yeah.
order to like meet up in person. But now people are completely relying on that text form and base. And you know
Hmm.
what? It makes sense. People are busy and all that.
Yeah.
That happens. But at least, make that time and effort for, you know, maybe grabbing lunch or grabbing boba for like an hour or something in person.
Hmm.
Because for me, you know what? I mean, it's not like trust issues or anything, but
Hmm.
it really makes me more, it's weird to say it, but it makes me like more uncomfortable texting because I don't know the tone of voice someone has
Oh,
behind it.
that's true. Everybody's got a different way to text. Let me put a
Yeah,
period and someone's like, "Oh, are you mad at me?" I'm like, "No, I'm just I'm just writing regular. I'm a regular messenger. I'm gonna
exactly.
use the question marks, the periods, exclamation marks, but it's not because I'm angry." I
Yeah,
feel
there's
that.
more. Dude, there's more
Mhm.
room for miscommunication, which is
That's
why I'd
true.
rather take a phone call. You can
Hmm.
hear my change in tone and voice. You can
Hmm.
hear when I'm being serious or messing around, or like
Yeah.
maybe I want to drop a joke here, but it's
Yeah.
like the punchline is not going to hit the same.
Yeah. I
Or
well, yeah. I do
I
get
like
that.
seeing the person I'm talking to so I
Hmm.
can, I'm just like read a person's energy. Like it's so
Hmm.
hard to do that with text. That's
Yeah.
just me. That's probably
Hmm.
like why that's my biggest thing because I need to see a
Hmm.
person's energy.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't trust it.
Yeah. It's like, who
I
are
know
you?
it's like the homies and stuff, but you never, I mean, like people, I just, if someone's having a bad day or not, and
Hmm.
like they're my friend and like they're just trying to cover it up or like just
Hmm.
text, and I'm like, oh, I want to know how you're actually doing, because
Yeah.
I like reading people. And it's just, I don't know, it's just better. It's a better, deeper connection. So
Yeah.
communication for me.
So that's what
But
effective communication looks like for you.
yeah,
Preferably in person or like, face to face, like via Zoom or something like that, or
yes,
virtual face to
less.
face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I can
Hmm.
see you smiling, cracking it up.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, just less room for miscommunication.
Got it. I can understand that. I, that's a great note. For me, because I'm not someone who necessarily overthinks the texting world, that part actually makes it a bit funny to me because I do have a friend. I remember like in college, she was like, "Oh, if you add a period, that means you're angry." And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "I'm still at my periods because I'm writing a sentence. They need to know when it ends." Like these are things I was taught.
I
Which
just
is
put an
just
emoji.
right. I don't see hilarious. See, but for me, that's why I was like, that was when I was starting to learn. I was like, there's some misinterpretations on text messaging
Hmm.
because like you're reading it and I didn't write it that way. And I have seen different ways of not necessarily, I don't recall any specifically with me, but I've seen friends have other miscommunications with their significant others or their friends because
Hmm.
their messages were read wrong. Um, so that's always interesting. For me, my communication runs a bit differently, and I think I'm still working on like what effective communication looks like in nurturing friendships that trying to maintain and keep. As we said, personal growth is a factor that kind of sometimes can impact how you connect with others. And for me, sometimes I just be like in my own little bubble, in my own little space, busy doing things, and maybe I'm not necessarily reaching out as much as I think I have, or I'm like, oh my gosh, this person haven't talked to them in a minute. As of late, because I don't live near anybody that I'm friends with, I've been doing like Zoom catch ups and things like that. Um,
Oh,
for
that's
way
nice.
yeah, like ways that I try to think of ways that can help us, even if it's 3 month catch up, let's do a 3 month catch up, or different things like that. So I do like Zoom, like a Zoom date or things
Slideshow.
like that. Yeah, lol. So this is my slideshow on the year of 2023. That's actually hilarious that you just gave me an idea. So we'll follow up on that. um but I do
Oh,
that. um I
we should
text.
start doing that.
I think that would be great. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. I'll add pictures and stuff. Um, I do text messages because I'm more of a texter. Because of the fact, and along with you, I think people get weirded out when you randomly call them. Um,
Yeah, I've
and I've
gotten notes.
Yeah, I've definitely, because especially because I'm not a caller as much. So, but sometimes I'll be like, let me call this person. I think I just eventually got to get more used to it. And then if they say they're like, hey, don't call, then I'll be okay with that. But I'm slowly getting to the idea of like randomly calling. Slowly, it's just the
Right.
very beginnings. Um, but I did randomly call a friend recently because we were messaging on Instagram. They had said something, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I need to call them." I don't,
What?
and they were like, "Hello." I was like, "Hey,
Dude,
it's
people
me."
these days, bro.
Yeah, they get weirded out by it. So just like knowing who you're gonna call and stuff. But because usually I'm not a caller. Um, it's fair for them to get weirded out if I do call them. So, but that
No,
then
yeah,
that then that leads to me overthinking, like, oh, do I call? Do I not call? So it's just kind of
yeah.
weird. Um, but I do eventually want to get into that a factor of like randomly calling and checking up because I know my mom does it a lot with her friends. Like maybe she hasn't talked to a friend in a year and they randomly call her and it's like, they'd catch up. Um, but
You
yeah,
know
I
what
think
I
I'm
think
definitely
about
figuring
that?
it.
Oh,
Oh yeah, no, you go ahead. I'll just say I'm definitely figuring it out. But as of right now, I do a lot of texting and I try to like text and say, hey, we should do a Zoom catch up, and I'll do Zoom. But what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, for me, when it comes to calling people randomly, and I do get those notes. It's like, hey, like, give me a heads up, and it's like, cool, cool. Like, I totally respect that, and it makes sense. Um, but like, I like calling people out of the blue, and people told me they actually really enjoy it because it's just nice to get like a random phone call and like, oh, this person's like actually thinking of me right now. That's why they called me. Like they want to catch up and think about me. And it's like if I call you and you can't pick up because you're busy, I'm like, no, I totally get it. And it's like we can schedule something for later,
Yeah,
next day or later, like just later in that week. It's like, hey, I'm thinking of you. We should like talk. Because sometimes it's like you can do that through text, but I feel like it's more meaningful if like someone's like, hey, oh man. Like for me, it's like I wouldn't want someone to call me out of the blue because
hmm,
it would make it clear to me like, oh shit, this person's actually thinking about me. I don't know,
yeah,
it just gives that warm feeling. And I
yeah,
want to give that to others, like, hey, like just someone's thinking about me. I'm like, oh, she's calling me. She wants to know what's up. I don't know. But yeah. I mean, like, if you can't pick up, I totally get that. It's
hmm,
like, well, we can just schedule something. We'll do a phone call later. That's why I leave missed phone calls.
yeah, hmm.
Like missed calls. So it's also nice getting those because I don't get too many of them.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think it's interesting because, as you said, there was a period of time where that was the normal form of communication. Like there was regular phone on the hook. You pick up the phone, you
Landline.
call someone. Yeah,
Bruh.
landline. Thank you. I'm just thinking of the wall. I was like, what?
Oh,
um, yeah, and you just pick up the phone and call someone. Like, I think it is interesting that people need heads up now. It's just kind of funny to think about. It's like,
yeah.
but I can understand from an introvert perspective of prepare me for interaction. So I can understand. But for me though, I don't if you're gonna call me. And if I'm not prepared for mental interaction, then I just won't answer. I'll be like, hey, I'll call you later. You know?
Yeah.
That works a bit better for me. Um, I don't need a preparation, I don't think. Because I'll answer it. Because I think one of those people who like appreciate it, I'm like, oh, I get a call. But if I'm not, once again, if I'm not like maybe I'm reading a book and I'm in a vibe. Like, hey, I'm
Yeah,
I'm on
no,
chapter
yeah.
15. You know, like
I
I'll
don't I
wait,
don't want to disturb that.
Exactly. But yeah, I say
I'll
just call.
wait.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I definitely tell that. I even tell that to my grandma because this is super random. Random insert. She does not like to call me randomly because she's like, "Oh, you're so busy. You're in New York. You've got a job. You're working. You've
Oh,
got your podcast." I'm like, "Call me, and if I'm actually busy, I'll just tell you that." Just like when I call you and you don't answer and you tell me you're busy, but for some reason, this has been a thing since college. She still does not like to randomly call me. I have to pull strings to be like, "Just call me if you want to call me, and I'll let you know." But that's a whole thing. Bringing it
so
back
you do
though,
like those random phone calls. It's
I
nice.
do.
It's
Yeah.
nice, right?
Yeah, I do appreciate it. So for the listeners out there, if you know me, call me. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. And if I don't answer, I'll call you back.
Literally
um,
my text tone.
yeah. Yeah.
It's simple.
Um, but yeah, I definitely think in-person things are really cool when they're possible because I think that, like as you said, it builds that quality time and it builds that friendship even more. For
Mhm.
me, I do Zoom catch-up sessions and I schedule them because, as I said, people have busy lives and it's always good to
Right.
schedule them in advance.
It's okay. I'll
um
start texting people beforehand. I'll be
yeah,
like, "Hey, can I call you?" I do
yeah,
that sometimes too.
yeah.
Like depending
Everyone's
on the
different.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's different. You could plan activities, things like that. I've noticed in adulthood, it's just so much easier to plan and schedule with other people because things get so busy. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, especially for Zoom and things, like you can't just randomly hop on a Zoom. Um, phone call is a little bit easier, but sometimes you do have to like plan and schedule with people, especially with the work life and things like that.
Yeah,
So I get
especially
it.
like, oh, it's like, hey, let's just hang out next month. Usually like my weekends are booked or I'm like booking with different people and then I'm like, hey, let's do this. Like sometimes I have to be weeks in advance and be like, hey, let's block this out for each other. And that is why I don't like flaking people too. Because there
Hmm.
are flaky people. That's a subject right there.
That's true. Let's
I
talk
don't
about it.
appreciate it.
Let's talk about it. People who you cannot count on to show up when they're supposed to show up, right?
Okay, I
That's
get
another
late.
struggle.
I run on brown people time, so it sucks for me. I'm
Mhm.
trying, that's a habit I'm learning to get out of, like
Okay.
trying not to be late.
Hmm.
And that's something I'm for sure I've been working on for years.
Yeah.
I'm that's a really bad habit of mine. But the
Hmm.
thing is, better late than never. I
That's true.
always show up. I always show up.
Hmm.
I rarely cancel plans, man. Like,
So to tie it then, because I was going to talk about what does nurturing a friendship look like. And I would say nurturing a friendship looks like showing up and holding yourself accountable to that friendship.
yeah.
So in regards to flaking, and if especially when it's consistent, I think that doesn't
Hmm.
and that's a sign of you not wanting to nurture your friendship,
Yeah. No,
and
yeah.
not really caring to put in time. And I say consistent. Um, if you randomly cancel and something comes up, that's fine. But if
Yeah.
it's like an every occurrence thing, then for me personally, those are signs that you don't want to show up. And I
Hmm.
for me, I don't know. I'm not gonna take it personally. I've learned this along the way, especially after high school, which was a long time ago. But those are when a lot of those long-term friendships that we had built for years kind of start
Yeah.
falling off the tracks. But I learned like if I'm putting in most of the time and most of the energy, I'm
Yeah.
trying to nurture this friendship, and I'm seeing that you are not putting in the same time, you're not putting the same energy, you're not reaching out, and when we try to set things up, you're falling off. That's a sign to me that maybe we are, pulling apart. I'm not mad at you. I'm not angry at you. I'm just like, darn. And that's kind of where it ends. Um, what in the sense though, in addition to like flaking or in opposition to flaking, what does nurturing a friendship look like for you?
Well, I can agree to that. Like, it's
Hmm.
like putting in the effort. So for me, Also one thing that I can get a downfall from,
Yeah.
like some of my biggest downfalls are like putting in time and effort and trust and seeing the good side of people into a
Yeah.
lot of people. So I'm a pretty social person, right?
Hmm.
But that also comes with an expense to where I give a lot of my time to other people. And
Yeah.
that's probably another reason why, yeah, I don't like it when people hang out with me and they're on their phones, because it's like, I could be doing something else.
Yeah.
I took my time out of the day to be with you.
Hmm.
But yeah, nurturing is like we don't have to like talk all the time, because I don't. And I have great friendships, people that I love and I care about,
Hmm.
like with people that sometimes I don't text for months, and then I'll be like, hey, I miss you, like we should hang out. And
Yeah.
then like actually making in that effort to like, hey, what's your availability? Oh, even if
Hmm.
they say I won't be available for another month, it's like, okay,
Let's
let's set a
schedule it.
time and date.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like making action, I think putting action into it really shows me like you're actually like trying. But
Hmm.
yeah, I've had some people that would flake out on flake. Oh god, I have so many flaky people, which is why I wanted my birthday, what is it, in the last week or whatever, I kept it
Uh,
small this year, because I
hmm.
was like, bruh, I don't even want the feeling of someone flaking on me when I make
Exactly.
plans, because
Hmm.
it's like that's when I feel like I'm not like worth their time or whatever.
Hmm.
It's like if I'm inviting you to celebrate me, like, and the fact that you don't want to even like put a day aside, like, because I do that for other people, right?
Yeah.
I maybe I shouldn't put expectations up, but and I shouldn't, but it's like if I do that for you,
Hmm.
I'd want the same, like, feeling and like respect,
Yeah.
right?
Or at least communication about it, you know? Like
Yeah,
if for a reason why you can't make it. I do feel,
yeah, which I understand completely.
yeah, that makes more sense because one thing that kind of frustrates me, no issues now, but it was an after college thing of I had some like one specific occurrence where I was like, oh, maybe this friendship can like go further. Maybe we can connect more, trying to put myself out there a little bit more in regards to like building friends and trying to make friendships work and seeing if maybe are we more than acquaintances? Maybe we can really be good friends and reaching out to people and then straight up just like not saying nothing. Um, but I think that's a communication thing though, because I then found out that that person was doing it to everyone. They decided to
Yeah.
like refresh their life, I guess,
Oh.
which is okay, but just respond to me or say something. I
Hmm.
think especially I feel like our age in our 20s, like people are so afraid of like being honest and upfront. Um, and 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 not and afraid to be looking like a specific
Oh
type of
yeah.
person. So that's where the
Yeah.
ghosting comes in and things like that. But then I was like, if anything, you're still showing up a certain type of way. You'd been better off being honest versus you just not saying anything. Um, so that was
No,
something I
for
noticed
real.
was like communication is a big thing. Like, let me know, like a natural fall off makes sense. Like if we're just I'm slowly not messaging you, you're slowly not messaging me, we naturally fall off and kind of like grow apart. No one communicates for years. That was a thing in high school for certain people. But for me to like reach out and then like nothing. Air. Bloop 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 crickets. Tweet 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 tweet. That's a bird, but whatever. But like just air. That's kind of weird. And I remember I had reached like just say something or like hey,
Hmm.
I love a good honest moment. So it's like, hey, I'm actually like trying to, change up and like get away from the college environment. Nothing against you. I'm just trying to find new people, meet new people, kind of restart my life.
Oh,
So, okay, girl, then go ahead and do that. Um,
someone actually said that to you, or what?
no, but that is the idea in place because they literally talk to
Oh,
no one from college. Um,
really? I
yeah,
don't know about that.
but it's like for me, I'm not gonna judge, but just like be honest. Talk,
Who's gonna
just
cut you out, bro?
I mean, hey, listen,
No,
I'm
I
very
just,
specific with the people I talk to. So that's okay. Like that's okay.
I guess.
I wasn't necessarily I just felt a certain type of way of just like then just say something because I know you saw my message. But I wasn't
Uh,
mad. I was just kind of like, it's weird. That's
oh,
all. It's just
well,
like it's weird.
is she the type of, here's a discussion. Is she the
Mhm.
type of person to text back right away? Or is
Um,
she like me? Because I tend to do that. But I give everybody the heads up, you know. If you really need me right away,
mhm.
give me a call, bro.
Well, here's the
Otherwise, I
thing.
might take a while.
I did a follow-up message as well, I think, because I totally understand that.
Ooh.
Because you're one of my
Double
friends. I have
text.
another friend. I have another friend. I was just messaging her the other day because I'm bringing her for my podcast. And I was like, hey, reminder. And she's like, thank you so much. Because I'm so bad at messaging. I was like, I know. It's okay. I know to
Yeah,
follow up
that
with you.
double text.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, no, like once again, no hard feelings. I was just kind of like, it's very weird. I'd rather you be honest with me. But once again, I know that that's not a normal approach. Not
Mhm.
everybody wants that honesty because they can kind of feel a certain way. I wasn't feeling a certain way. I'd rather you just be honest. I love a good communication. I love a good honest moment, but I once again understand not everyone's like that. And I've understood that as well because I know I can't be 100% honest with everybody because they're going to get their feelings hurt.
Mhm.
And it's like it's
Yeah.
not meant to be that way, but once again I understand. Um okay, let's share a few personal stories in regards to evolution in our friendships.
Okay.
Pop question. High school, middle school, number of people that you still talk to and communicate with.
Ooh, see, that's hilarious. Okay.
We have one.
So,
There we go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo,
Yeah.
woo, woo. She's a winner. Okay, so over time, I'd say, okay, let's
Well,
say
currently
after
right now.
graduation.
Yeah. Hmm.
Huh, I gotta set up that backstory, right? Over the growth.
Okay.
Okay, over time.
Okay.
So I'm just making that timeline.
Okay.
So, um, high school
Hmm.
ends, and then we start going into college.
Exactly. Hmm.
I still kept look, I met a lot of people in college for sure. You know,
Hmm.
I'm social. I
Social
love meeting
butterfly.
new people.
Yeah.
I love meeting these people and getting to
Hmm.
know them. But I also like keeping my connections with
Hmm.
older people. And I used to have people from high school come over, like especially with being in AP studio art.
Yeah.
Like we were like, I had a family, like I had
Y'all
homies
are the
there, you
most
know?
social, yeah, social group, very social group.
Yeah, so but yeah, so here's the funny thing. So it started out in the beginning years of college, like it was good, but slowly as events transpired and like people started feeling some type of way,
The
there
little
was a lot of
drama.
more comparison of lifestyles.
Ooh, I want to talk about that. Keep going though. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. So like my lifestyle changed from other people's. And for me, it's like, yo, if you're living a different lifestyle, yo, I appreciate that. I respect that. That's your life, you know? But
Hmm.
for me, I got a lot of uh resentment towards how I changed because, you know,
Hmm.
I grew up certain way and
Yeah.
then I moved out of the house. So it's like I grew up strict, I moved out of the house, and then I
Got to
finally
explore a bit more.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going through my own changes in life. So I got my own voice.
Hmm.
And so some people didn't like that, you know, and some people actually gave me passive aggressive behavior towards that. Or
Okay.
like, I don't know, it was just that energy change, you know. I'd be getting like comments like, oh yeah, 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 you do this, you do that.
So let's say
And I'm
this. End of college. How many people
yeah,
were you still communicating with?
for high school.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a thing. Oh my God. Barely anybody. Probably people I can count on
Like
one
five.
hand.
So then,
And I started out with a lot more, but I've
okay.
weeded people out.
And those challenges, as you said, included distance one, and then conflict of life changes and lifestyles, right?
I think the lifestyle came
Was
first.
mainly it. Okay.
Yeah, because things started getting toxic and there was a lot of resentment. Like, oh, I didn't know this person anymore. But it's like,
Mm,
there's like a lot of judgment. It's like, bro, like we're just different, but we're also that same. Like our morals
yeah.
and beliefs are the same, but there's just like changes and like there's like I don't know how to yeah, the core is still the
No, I
same.
I understand. Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying in the beginning because you once again, I remember this when we were in college and you were telling me all your stories. I was like, "Oh, she's living it up." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Wow, she out here making friends and stuff." Not that I wasn't, but I was like, you were really social out there and you were really like getting that
I
college
make the
experience.
most of it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was like, "Okay." Once again, completely different person from middle school as you should be. But I want, but it was that thing of like, go ahead, okay, like
Yeah.
this is different, but it wasn't a form of like judgment, which I think was important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Side note,
No, you're
side
good.
note. Just quick note. I realized that the main word would be support.
Ooh, okay. How so?
Yeah. Like people just didn't support me anymore.
As a
And
person,
that's
you as a
where,
person.
yeah, I
Okay.
would support them. I got a lot of love to give. I'm a lover.
Yeah.
And I care about the people that I grew up with because I'm a
Mhm.
ride or die person.
Yeah.
So, but I
Okay.
didn't get as much support as I would give them. And then I also, yeah, that negative energy just getting thrown at me. I was like, bro, I can't do
Cut.
this anymore.
Yeah. No, I get that 100%. That's why I also consider the people I choose to keep in my life as well. Like, are you adding to the pot? Like
Hmm.
adding more flavor, or are you making it bland? Like, I want you to add joy, add positivity, things like that. You should not be depleting me. You should be
Exactly.
adding. Yeah. Um, and that's just being you. Not that I'm expecting anything extra from you, but you as a person, are you adding or are you depleting? So I think that's super important. Um,
Yeah.
that comparison of different lifestyles, I did want to bring that up. With my experience, and I'll talk about that, and then we're gonna move on to college real quick. You're more social. You reach out a lot more, I would say, compared to me, for sure, for sure. I did do some reaching out though, my first year of college. Um, some friendships did fall through that I thought would hold a bit longer. People I had known since elementary school. And I started to wonder why though, because I was doing the reaching out and I was like, is it because we're no longer in the same place that they don't
Hmm.
feel like our friendship can like last? Um, there were also some things I was noticing were like it shouldn't be this way, but I had went to college and I had friends that didn't go to college and I didn't know if they were feeling a certain way about that. Um and for me, I was like there shouldn't be any kind of feeling like everybody takes their own path. But I don't know, I felt like there was possibly some kind of like weird energy about that. Which was unfortunate in my part because I was like I it shouldn't be like that and I wanted like our friendships to last like we've been friends for a very long time. Um
I feel you.
and that was my specific experience of change of just like how our life path, not necessarily lifestyle, our life
Hmm.
paths were different. And that's when
Exactly.
like certain things started to fall through the cracks a bit. Um, in it had stayed pretty consistent. Like you are my most consistent, more than likely. I have another friend, but for me, it was like two people. On occasion, I talk to some people here and there via text or Instagram or Twitter, but at this point, I don't think they're friendships, you know? Um, I was aware of how that happens though, because you also have to think you have to wonder which friendships are proximity friendships and which,
Convenience.
yes, exactly. And that you don't find that out until you actually separate, you know? So then
Hmm.
moving into college, um, so you graduated what year? Remind me.
2021.
2021. Okay, that's what I thought. You graduated 2021. I graduated 2020. What has your friendship connections look like now after college? So like was it the same kind of path where you went to only 5 friends after high school or have you stayed pretty maintained? What does that look like? Cuz then I feel like this is even a bigger transition because
Oh yeah.
high school to college or high school to post high school is just like very different. But then you go from college to like full on adulthood. Now we've got like jobs and responsibilities and things, and it's just like a big thing. Or figuring out the job world as well.
So the people I was hanging out with the last few years, between the end of college, because my lease ended a few months after college.
Hmm.
That's well, after college ended, bro. Yeah, the light shine. I broke up with my ex of 3 years.
Yeah.
Also my best friend of also since fourth grade.
Hmm.
Like things just got shown into light of what's happening around me. And some of my friends that at that time that I would always hang out with, I had to cut them out. I was in like the worst part of my life. And being at your lowest part of your life, because that post grad depression really hit, and a lot of
I
things
feel
like,
that. Oh, we don't talk about that enough. Yeah.
yeah, no, that shit's real.
Hmm.
It's like when people see you at your low, who's gonna attack you when you're vulnerable and who's there to lift you up. And
Hmm.
that is when I lost a lot of relationships.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad, including my ex.
Hmm.
It's like even the person I was most in love with in my whole life, I had to get rid of
Hmm.
because it just wasn't like benefiting me. It was actually depleting me, draining me, and
Hmm.
like I was genuinely like, dude, like people were taking advantage of my vulnerability. And like
Yeah.
and I was a
Same.
mess, but and you know what? I was a mess because I lost myself.
Hmm.
Like I was so lost.
Hmm.
I mean, my core was still there, but I was genuinely like
Yeah. You're
like
figuring it out.
dead
And
inside.
yeah.
Yeah, but you
Mhm.
know what? People don't want to support that sometimes, and I mean, I get that, but I still love and cared for them. It's
Mhm.
just people take that shit personally, and that's why
Mhm.
we're still young and people don't understand. Yo, like others are going in your friends, later down the
Mhm.
road when someone's going through a divorce or something,
Yeah.
like what you're just gonna like hate on your friend because you're taking it personally, like nah, you should be there and supporting them.
Mhm.
And it's like they're going through a tough time, for example, a divorce. Not that I'm like wishing that upon anybody, but
Yeah,
that's a
no.
big, like, stuff like that happens, it only
Mhm.
gets more serious.
Mhm.
And like things get harder, someone loses a parent, they become a mess, you lose a loved one,
Yeah.
sometimes you lose yourself, and it's like,
Mhm.
bro, you find out who your real friends are. And honestly, like I weaved out those friends, and it's so funny
Mhm.
because the people I hang out right now, the homies right now, I love them. Shout out to them. Literally, it's funny because we already had our own falling out. Like
Mm.
two out of three of the people I didn't talk to for a whole year because we had our own, like we had our falling out,
Yeah.
but then we reconnected because we grew. As we grew further, like we had
Yeah.
to take that time apart, but we reconnected back,
Mhm.
as different people because we're each growing and we see each other growing. And honestly, we're kind of inspiring each other too. So it's like positive, and we've built such a strong connection
Mhm.
like no other. Because once you already have that falling out with someone, and the fact that you guys came back and see each other, you have that respect and that
Yeah.
foundation. And yeah, so the last few years, and those are people from freshman year of college.
Mhm.
So it's like that's crazy. But when it comes to high school, it's very little right now because
Yeah.
I don't think it's just it. That's kind of like way far back.
Yeah. I also think like especially as a teacher myself, middle school and high school, a lot of them are going to be proximity friendships. People you just happen
Oh
to
yeah.
be around nearby. Some people make other friends for different case scenarios when you're young like that. It's just very like wishy-washy. Once you graduate high school, you start to figure out who you are a bit more, and that's when you kind of make those mistakes, make those growths, whatever those look like. Um, but yeah, college it becomes a little bit more specific because those are people and friends that you're making as you are discovering yourself and making that journey. And not everything necessarily has to be proximity, because in those college spaces, everything's so big and wide, you know, like anyone could be anywhere at
Hmm.
any time. Um, but yeah, I definitely think that's interesting. That actually rolls into the next topic though, of like the value of having supportive friendships. And I did want to quickly talk about this, of like the positive impact it can have on, your well-being, your mental health. Um, and specifically in regards to supporting people during those challenging times, like you were talking about, I think that's super important. I think about that all the time of like, who would I talk to or who would I call in regards to having like a real down in the dump moment? Who would be open and understanding
Who
and
you
willing to
call?
listen? Yeah, right. Ghostbusters. Yeah. Um, but that's so true because not every friend you make necessarily may be that person. And then you have to wonder,
Hmm.
well, are they a friend or, where do they fall? Um,
Exactly.
so that's super important because I think about the friends that I have those deep conversations with, they would understand. And then there's probably people that I know that probably, yeah, it's like a teeter-totter kind of situation. Um,
Surface level, what's
mhm,
surface level and what's actually like, like,
mhm,
who would you like go through hell with, you
exactly.
know?
Like, let's go into battle. Yeah. Like yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that's where that value comes from of like how do you keep that friend in your adulthood is knowing which friends you can count on in those deeper moments.
Mhm,
It's not about surface level when it comes to maintaining and nurturing friendships. You really have to like
mhm.
dig a bit deeper in regards to that.
Yeah, I honestly, now that I think about it, I think it really depends on if you're making friends with, I think it's just like you need a person that thinks like, if I do this for them, they'll do the same for me.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's that respect. It's like, oh, if my friend, like for example, if you're going through something right now,
Hmm.
like, and you're like completely shattered, I'm gonna be there for you,
Hmm.
and then like it's like that same person has that innate feeling like, hey, this person was there for me, I'm gonna be there for them if I like, if it goes flip flop,
Yeah.
like vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that's how you know that's a connection, because
Hmm.
it's that feeling. And you know what? A lot of people I've met are not really like that.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Um, yeah, that's so interesting. I never thought about that way, but yeah, it's like support is a huge um base of that friendship.
Yeah.
Um, whether it's literally like the random support, but also just like the struggles of like life. Um,
Hmm.
so I definitely think that that's something to consider. Yeah, in regards to that. But it is super valuable though. Outside of family, it is important to have friends that you can count on to talk to and like vice versa, and that you're willing to
Hmm.
go and help and support. And
Hmm.
once again, I'll go to battle. Like, let's go. Or what do you need to talk about? Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Popcorn in a movie? Let's go. Like whatever, that person needs. And yeah, support is definitely a key factor of friendship in regards to just general connection and like understanding the changes that happen with a person throughout their life as well.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
think it kind of boils down to like maturity level. Like,
Ooh,
are
okay.
you, yeah, because it's like, well, as I grew,
Hmm.
like in like done recent, like I go to therapy like every week.
Yeah.
Like I've been doing that. Like I reflect a lot, I journal a lot. I every day I focus on getting better as an individual, and I feel like I've grown a lot, especially in the last few years. Um, and something that like that maturity level is someone that's willing to, like, for example, like not take things personally, and
Hmm.
like show those boundaries and stuff, and respect. It's just like boils down to respect. How much do you respect that person?
Yeah.
It's like you find out someone's projecting on you. It's easier to support someone when you yourself are at that maturity level, that like, hey, like I'm not going to take this personally,
Hmm.
and I'm not it's kind of like equilibrium.
Yeah.
Like equilibrium, how are you going to maintain a friendship? It's going to be like you pour in, pour out, pour in, pour out,
Yeah,
but
I was thinking, yep.
you can't drain someone completely, otherwise it's going to be too hard to go back.
Yeah, there's no support. Yeah. Yep.
Chemistry, man.
Hashtag science. Yeah. Um, well, this was a good conversation, Jassimran. I definitely think this is something we could talk about like on and on because everyone has their own
No,
different
literally.
perspectives and experiences on friendship. But I hope that whoever's listening to this conversation, it was helpful to someone out there, or it was interesting to like just get different opinions on, because once again, everyone has a different perspective on what friendship
Mm-hmm.
looks like as well. We do not have the secret answers, of course, but we have the answers for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But we could at least all relate to this journey of friendship and maintaining friendships as an adult. So listeners out there, tell us what you thought about this episode in the Q&A section. What are your thoughts? If you have been thinking of messaging someone or even calling if they're a caller, and you haven't talked to them in a minute, do it. You never know what's going to happen. Thank you so much to Jassimran for joining in on this conversation. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you. To get notified when new episodes drop, don't forget to follow this podcast. You can also follow me at KaVonna on Instagram to stay updated on drops as well. Go ahead and follow Jassimran on Instagram at JASSIMRAN.PSD. You can also
That's my
look at
art
the
account.
episode. Yeah. You can also look at the episode description to get full details there on all of her socials and website details. Get some sunshine, get some air, have an amazing, amazing week, and I will see you next week on the Introvert Social Hour. Thanks for joining. Bye.
Bye.